Hey guys, we're going to be talking about the reasons for the growth of representative government during the colonial eras. Again, what this is really looks very complicated, but what we're talking about is how the United States got their government and how we got those ideas. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we do that, let's review real quick of what we learned last week. Again, you have the 13 colonies here, and I just want to review again about the New England colonies, the middle colonies, and the southern colonies, because I feel like once you kind of get a grasp of the knowledge of the 13 colonies of the basics, you'll be able to learn about their government and their economics, and that's kind of what we're going to be learning this week. So let's just review real quick. Um, Again, the New England colonies, their religion was the Puritans, the Pilgrims, and as you guys can see on this picture, man, those guys were kind of crazy, kind of fanatics. If you missed church, they would put you on those stables right there, and they would treat you like that for punishment for missing church. And again, this is the Pilgrims, and I know we're about to celebrate Thanksgiving, and be thankful for the Pilgrims meeting with the Indians, but it wasn't all just pretty like how the story tells us. The Pilgrims were kind of crazy, kind of religious fanatics at one point. Um, so their economy was shipbuilding, lumber and whaling, and fur. Again, it's really cold up there, so you really can't grow much cash crops, anything like that, compared to the South. So what they did is once they didn't find gold, they started doing shipbuilding, um, you know, um, cutting down lumber to make guns, things like that. And remember that the climate is really cold, humid, rocky soil, lots of trees and water. And then again, their government was the Mayflower Compact. So remember that, and they're the red part of this map. Moving south to the middle colonies, the Quakers was the religion, and again, the climate there is mild. Okay, so it's not too cold, not too hot, so it allowed for them to do kind of both, um, to do lumber shipbuilding, but also to grow cash crops, uh, and have things kind of like also like wheat and meat and dairy. Okay, so the middle colonies was kind of a place if you wanted to go somewhere where it's neutral. Um, that's kind of the states or the colonies where you would want to go, and everybody's welcome. So remember, in New York, if you go to New York, there's people talking in 15 different languages, all kinds of cultures, all kinds of races, and then again, it's because the middle colonies were very accepting, and it's due to the religion of the Quakers. They believe in equality. If you didn't want to go to church, you didn't have to, and you weren't going to get punished. um, Pennsylvania is actually created by William Penn. Hopefully you guys remember that name, William Penn. And Pennsylvania is actually known as the friendly city, and it's still now, that's their logo. That's where the Philadelphia Eagles play, in Pennsylvania. So let's move south, and we're going to the southern colonies. This is where the Catholics move. The Catholics escaped religious persecution from England. They used to get killed for practicing being a Catholic in England. So they came to the southern colonies. Um, it's really hot down here. Don't forget that. And because of that, cash crops are easy to cultivate. Tobacco, cotton, slaves were one of the main economies, and their government was the Virginia House of Burgesses. Okay, so let's move on. All right, this is our lesson for today. So, democracy is what we're going to be learning. You hear this word all the time in the news, democracy, and our troops are fighting for democracy to protect our democracy here in the United States. And people are, protesting in the streets, and you know, it all boils down to this protecting democracy. So what is democracy? So let's go over that. So the word democracy actually comes from the Greeks, from Greece. And if we break it down, demos is the people, and kratos is to rule. So the people rule. Okay, or government is designed for the people to rule. Okay, so again, what is democracy? Democracy is a form of government that allows people to choose their rulers. In a democracy, only leaders elected by people should rule the country, and people have the freedom to express views, freedom to organize, and freedom to protest. And then again, one of the nicest things we do now with democracy is that we vote. Okay, we vote. So ask yourself, what is democracy? Okay, and it's pretty much that we vote to get people elected into government. So here's a today's example. We're having the president election. November 3rd is the last day you can vote, and we'll have either a new president, which would be right here on the left side, Joe Biden, or Donald Trump will continue to be the president of the United States, depending on the votes. The next thing we have to learn is called representative democracy. So we just learned what democracy is, but we're adding the representative. Okay. So representative democracy is people elect officials to make decisions for them and to propose laws. Okay. The advantage of that is people can choose experts to make and carry out decisions. The disadvantage is that leaders may not represent the people's interests. Okay, can you think of a leader right now that we voted for him and it's not making good decisions for our country? Answer that on your own mind. And then again, people can still make laws sometimes. Okay, but we are electing somebody to make decisions for us. In the United States, we have over 300 million people that live in this country, so we cannot just have everybody vote for one law. It'd be impossible. We cannot get 300 million votes every time we need a law. That's why we need to choose a representative to do that for us, okay, for large numbers of people. So here's a better picture to help you kind of visualize this. So a direct democracy on the left hand side, it's the people will vote for laws and rules, okay? So then again, this works really good in small groups, kind of like in a town, maybe in a city smaller than Austin. It works really good because the people voting are not. It's not that the population is not that big. But whenever you're talking about the whole country, you need representatives, elected representatives, um, because the population is too big. So as you can see, the people are voting for one person, and then this person goes um, and supports us, and they create laws and rules according to our beliefs. Again, this doesn't always happen, but that's kind of the idea. Okay. So again, ask yourself, what is representative democracy again? Okay. So go ahead and ask yourself that. All right, on this video, you guys can just hit play. You're going to watch it. It's kind of going to summarize everything I just said about democracy and representative democracy. You're going to have to exit this video and click on the actual presentation that I'm sharing and click on that video. This will help you quite a bit to understand, what I've been explaining. All right, so solitary neglect. This is a meme. So, do whatever you want. Okay, there is law, but it is ignored. So let's go over what solitary neglect means. So let's break it down into two parts. Solitary means something that is beneficial, having good effects. Neglect, on the other side, is being ignored or disregard. Kind of like, you see those commercials where they neglect the dogs and they look really sad. That's what neglect means, being ignored. So again, it's kind of weird because it's solitary means like something beneficial, and then being ignored, something bad. So the colonies were given a decent amount of freedom to do as they please. So they were being kind of left alone and neglected at the same time. So in return, the 13 colonies, they supported the mother country. And remember, mother country is England. That's where we're coming from, by supplying her with raw materials to be manufactured in that little triangle that we've been learning. Um, so again, as they'll England will leave us alone as long as we are giving them raw materials, as long as the 13 colonies are making money for mother country. Okay. And again, it's called salutary neglect, where they leave us alone. Okay. They let us rule our own colonies. The king doesn't tell us what to do. So during the years of salutary neglect, the colonies were given a good deal of self government in local matters. Um, so there was almost no control over the colonies. The king didn't tell us what to do, and the parliament, which is parliament right here, is that's the name of the government in England. So they put the colonists on hold. They were like, you know what, we're too busy over here. You guys do whatever you want over there. It's 3,000 miles, 3 months via ship to get to the colony. So we're just going to leave you guys alone. You keep making money for us and do whatever you want to do. Okay. The colonies particularly liked the idea of solitary neglect. They actually enjoyed it, and were upset to see it come to an end. And we'll talk about that, uh, coming to an end in the next few weeks. So it got to a point where England uh, was getting more strict and with the 13 colonies, and they were like, okay, guys, I need you guys to follow the king rules. And the 13 colonies here on the right go, no, you solitary neglect us for many years, and we like self-government. We don't want to follow the king's rules anymore. So they slapped him in the face. So the result of solitary neglect was self-government in the colonies. So they 13 colonies created their own governments. The most popular ones that we need to know, especially for the STAR test, is this one, the Mayflower Compact, which was created in 1620, and it gave us kind of like a blueprint of social contract, how how we should behave in society and things like that. Kind of like when you walk into the class, you know that you need to come in, sit down. I don't have to repeat that over and over. You just kind of know to behave like that. uh, you know that you don't need to be driving down the road at 100 miles an hour. You drive the speed limit. That's a social contract. Okay. We're all agreeing to follow those kind of rules. The Virginia House of Burgesses was created in 1619 by Jamestown, and their representative government, we just learned about that. They got so big with the plantations, and they had the population got so big that they needed um, people to represent them in government, and they were the first legislative and democratic government in America. And then the third one you need to know is the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. This was created in 1639, and it again, it was kind of like self-government. It was the first attempt at a constitution in America. And I have talked about this, where they split the powers into three. That way, no branch had too much power. And we're about to learn about these three in more detail, guys. So don't worry if you don't, if you're kind of confused about these three. This is going to be our assignment that is attached to this video. So that's pretty much it. You need to do the assignment that is posted. What you need to do is read each slide and then answer those questions. If you have any questions, you can contact me via email or just log on to class. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.